Hello everyone, welcome to LICD Lecture 16B. Today's topic is the concept building for the non-inverting Schmidt trigger and analyzing the Schmidt trigger with numbers. We have started with non-linear applications of op-amp and Schmidt trigger is one of them. It is the op-amp with a positive feedback. So let us consider the circuit. So here the input is applied to the non-inverting terminal via resistor R1. Resistor R2 is my connected in the feedback network, and we have output which is measured with respect to ground. The op-amp is powered with plus or minus dual power supply, DC power supply basically. Here we are considering the VCC and VEE to be plus or minus 16.5. So plus or minus VSAT will be 90% of VCC. That will be close to 15 volts. I said close to 15 volts. So plus VSAT will be plus 15 and minus VSAT will be minus 15. Here we have also considered the value of R2 as 20K and value of R1 is around 10 kilo ohms. So with this, we'll start our analysis. So what we will do is we can apply the KCL at V plus node. So by applying KCL at V plus node, what do we get? Incoming current is equal to outgoing current. That is I1 is equal to I2 plus, I plus. I plus is 0 because of input impedance of op-amp is very high. And what we can get is we can write I1 is equal to I2. So what is I1? I1 is nothing but V in minus V plus upon R1, and I2 is V plus minus V out upon R2. And if we can rearrange the terms over here, we collect the terms of V plus on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we have V in and V out term. So if we cross multiply and solve it algebraically, we are arriving at this very important equation number 1, which says that V plus is equal to R2 upon R1 plus R2 into V in plus R1 upon R1 plus R2 into V out. So this is a very important equation on which our entire numerical analysis will be based on. So I'll keep this on the left hand side. Now, let me show you all the input output characteristics of this inverting Schmidt trigger directly, non-inverting Schmidt trigger directly, sorry. So let me just reduce it. Yeah, so upper waveform, this pink color is my input waveform. This dotted green line is my two triggering points, that is upper threshold point and a lower threshold point, and this is my output state. That's how it will look like. So initially we need to suppose that op-amp over here, as you can see clearly, when V in is 0, op-amp is at minus VSAT. So this will be our starting point. Okay, so let us go back to our analysis and this equation. Okay, so when V in is at 0 volt, let's consider V in to be 0 volt. In this formula, if you substitute V in equal to 0 and V out, initially we assume it to be at minus VSAT, that is minus 15. And actually from the diagram, we can say V minus is permanently equal to 0, right? So right now V in is at 0. So if V in is at 0, does that mean V plus is at 0? Well, no, because output will be at either at plus VSAT or minus VSAT. That is a part of it is fed back to the input. So V plus will not be 0 if V in is equal to 0. Okay, so that's what we have. We are writing it over here. So we assume that initially the output will be at minus VSAT, and here in this case a minus VSAT is minus 15. And from this equation number 1, if we substitute V in as equal to 0, so we will get it as V plus is equal to R2 upon R1 plus R2 into V in. Everything is given. V in is 0 basically. So that will disappear. We will get V plus is equal to R1 upon R1 plus R2 into V out. V out is minus 15. So here we have written minus 15, and this R2 upon R1 plus R2 will be half. Will be 1 by 3 because R2 is around 20K and R1 is around 10K. So 10 divided by 30. So it will be 1 by 3 basically. So 1 by 3 into minus 15, you will get minus 5. So when V in is equal to 0, V plus is at minus 5 and V minus is at 0. So what can we say? We can say that V minus is greater than V plus. Again, confirming our proof key, whatever assumption we have taken that output is at minus 15, it's correct. So V out is indeed at minus 15 volts. That is as minus VSAT. Okay. So our first second step is over. Now the third step. Now let's say we have a sinusoidal signal like a sine wave. So sine wave from 0 goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever the amplitude is. So let's say that V in is at 1 volt. Will my output state change? Well, let's find out. So from here in this equation, what we will do is we'll substitute the value of V in as 1. Rest all the values we know. This R2 upon R1 plus R2 will be 20k upon 30k. So this will be 2 by 3 from now on. The first fraction will be 2 by 3 and this one will be 1 by 3 because R1 upon 10 divided by 10 plus 20, that will be 1 by 3, and this will be 20 divided by 10 plus 20, that will be 20 by 2 by 3. So we substitute the values of V in as 1 volt, and output, remember, it's at minus 15. Right now it's at minus 15, it's not changing. And V plus is calculated it to be, if you use a calculator, this number will be around minus 4.33. Now if you work this out, this 1 by 3 into minus 15 will always be minus 5 until my output state changes. That is, becomes from minus 15 to plus 15. So until then, this number will be minus 5. That's good to know. So right now the situation is, if V in is at plus 1 volt, V plus is at minus 4.33. So definitely V minus will be greater than V plus because 0 is greater than minus 4.33. So my output will remain at minus 15. So the answer to the question, if V in is at 1 volt, will my output state change? Is no. The output will stay at minus 15. Now let's say my V in is increased drastically from 1 volt to 7 volts. Will my output state change? Well, let's find out. So from this equation we can write first term will be 2 by 3 into V in will be 7. And you remember this was minus 5 from earlier. We told that it will come in handy. So we can directly substitute it as minus 5 because V out is not changing the state yet. If we calculate the value of V plus for V in equal to 7 volts, it will come out to be minus 0.333 volts. So again, V minus is permanently grounded and V minus will be greater than V plus over here, clearly. So my output state will not change. It will remain at minus 15. Okay. Now, next scenario, step number 5 is, let's say that input is 7.4 and will my output state change? Well, let's find out again. So V plus will be 2 by 3 into 7.4 minus 5. So remember that minus 5, where it is coming from? It is coming from here, over here. So we have already evaluated that if the output is at minus 15, this will be, this fraction will be minus 5. So that's how we are writing a minus 5 so conveniently. So V plus will be minus 0.066. Now our V minus is at 0 and V plus is at minus 0.066. What happened to the output? Well, output is given by V out is equal to AOL times V plus minus V minus. Here V minus is 0 and V plus is minus 0.066. It is multiplied with a very huge number. As you can see, if I expand it, yeah. So this minus 0.066 is multiplied with 2 into 10 raised to 5. Immediately the output will, output stays at minus 15 only. It's a huge number. So the output state won't change at all. AOL is the open loop gain of the op amp, for your information. So right now when V in is at 7.4, my V plus it's very close to 0. It's going around minus 0.066 volts. And the output stays at minus 15 volts. Now let's consider another scenario. Right now my input is at 7.6 volts and my V minus is at 0 volts for now. Will my output state change? Well, let's find out. So from equation number 1, my V in will be 7.6. So 2 by 3 into 7.6 minus 5. So if you calculate with a calculator, you will get a number as 0.066 volt. So here we can say for the first time that V plus is greater than V minus. In all the earlier 6 cases, all the earlier 5 cases, V plus was less than V minus. Hence the output state was now remaining at minus V sat. Now here there is a situation wherein V plus is greater than V minus, so the output will be going towards plus 15. So here, yes, the output state will change. The output state will change and become as minus 15. It will acquire a new value of plus 15, sorry. So here let's see how. So V plus V out is given as 2 into 10 raised to 5 into V plus minus V minus. V plus is 0.066 and this is multiplied with a huge number. So definitely my output will switch immediately from minus 15 to plus 15. So my output is at plus 15 now. So right now, the moment output goes to plus 15, it will remain at plus 15 until V plus becomes less than V minus again. Okay, so what will happen next? So now, currently the situation is my output is at plus 15, right? It has switched from minus 15 to plus 15 just now. Now, if the input is loitering around 7.5, 7.4, or 7.6 due to noise, no problem. The output will still remain at plus 15. Why? Let us see how now. So let me just slightly decrease this so that it's visible. Yeah, it's visible. So now for input equal to 7.5, let's say now the new value is 7.5, right? So this equation from equation number 1, this will be 2 by 3 into 7.5. V in is 7.5, remember? Again, now it has become 7.5. And V out is plus 15. You see this earlier we were used to write it as minus 5 because it was minus 1 by 3, sorry, 1 by 3 into minus 15. Right now it is at plus 15. So when V in is equal to minus 7.5, my V plus is at 10 volts. Similarly, when V in is equal to 7.4, you can calculate it. With a calculator, it will be V plus will be at 9.93. And when V in is at 7.6, my V plus will be at 10.06. So all these values are much, much greater than V minus, which is at 0 volts. So my output will remain at positive saturation. What does that mean? This means that any small changes in V aren't going to affect the output at all, right? Now, let's see now. So we have made the statement that the output remains at plus 15 until V plus falls below V minus again. So let us continue our journey in this. So let us continue with the analysis with numbers. It's very useful. Now suppose the V in input drops from 7.5 and goes minus 5, 1, 0. It's a sine wave, right? It can be a falling signal. So V in goes from 7.5 to 0 and then from minus 1 to minus 7. It's quite a lot of a change. Will my output state change? Well, no. Let's find out why. The output will stay at plus 15. The proof of it? Yeah, let's find out. So let's say at V in equal to minus 7. Let's calculate the extreme case. At V in equal to minus 7, what is my V plus? So you substitute it over here, minus 7. So it will be 2 by 3 into minus 7. And output stated as plus 15 now. So this will be plus 5. So the value of V plus will be 0.33. And we know that V plus is 0.33, V minus is 0. So my output will be at plus 15 only, since V plus is greater than V minus. Similarly, for all these values of we have calculated for minus 7. So definitely it won't be, V plus has to be greater than V minus for all the upper cases. That is 7.5. The V plus is at 10 volts. For 5 volts, the V plus is at 8.33. How we have calculated? We have calculated using the formula in the red box. So when V in is equal to 3 volts, V plus is at 7 volts. When V in is equal to 1 volt, V plus is at 5.66. When V in is 0, V plus is at 5 volts. V in is minus 1, V plus is at 4.33. V in is minus 3, V plus is at 3 volts. V in is minus 5 and V plus is coming out to be 1.667 volts. When V in is minus 7, the V plus is 0.33. So for all these cases, my V plus is greater than V minus. That is the proof itself that V output will remain at plus 15 very confidently. Now let's say suddenly V in becomes lesser than minus 7.6. It becomes minus 7.6. Will my output state change? Well, let's find out. So right now V plus is 2 by 3 times minus 7.6 plus 15 divided by 3, that is plus 5. Yes, right now there is a chance. So V plus has become minus 0.066 and V minus is 0 because it is grounded, right? So your V plus is greater than V minus is greater than V plus is in this case. So my output will immediately changes state from plus 15 to minus 15. So right now currently my output is at plus 15. Let's see how in more details. V out is given by 2 into 10 raised to 5 into V plus minus V minus. Even though the change in V plus and V minus is very small, it is multiplied by a very big fraction, that is 2 into 10 raised to 5. So it is minus 0.066. It's enough to keep the output to a negative saturation. So output switches immediately to minus 15, and the moment the output goes to minus 15, it will remain there at minus 15 until V plus is greater than V minus again. Okay, now the output will continue to remain at minus 15 until V in becomes greater than 7.5 again. So that's what is happening, and the process will go on. Okay, now why V in greater than 7.5, I will let you know from this graph. Now let us concentrate on the input output characteristics. Here is my input output characteristics for my non-inverting Smith trigger, and let us summarize this very fast in case of a memory or a state diagram. So state number 1 is output is at minus 15, correct? State number 2 is output is at plus 15. So if I want to go from state 1 to state 2, my input has to be greater than 7.5. Why the 7.5? You'll get more clarity. And whenever the output will switch from state 1 to state 2 when input is greater than 7.5, and here my if I want to go from plus 15 output plus 15 to minus 15, I have the input has to be lesser than 7.5 volts. Okay, so this is the scenario. So basically let us concentrate on this input output waveform with respect to time for a non-inverting Smith trigger. So I'll explain that how that 7.5 has come. First, let us concentrate over here. Okay, so we'll start. So V in is 0, output is at minus 15, correct? V in is less than 7.5, output stays at minus 15. As soon as V in becomes greater than 7.5, my output changes the state from minus 15 to plus 15 immediately. Now, output will stay at plus 15 until my V in falls below this minus 7.5. So this lower triggering point. So whenever input becomes less than minus 7.5, my output state will change from plus 15 to minus 15. Now again, the next time the input changes and becomes greater than plus 7.5, my output state will again change from minus 15 to plus 15, and the cycle will continue. So the next time output will change when input becomes lesser than minus 7.5. So where the 7.5 magically came from? Now we know that here, let's consider this case. Okay, so we know that if V plus and V minus approaches each other very close to each other, immediately my output state will change. Okay, so they are very close to it. V minus is 0. That means if V plus is approaching 0, immediately my output state will change, right? So in this equation, if you substitute this first fraction is 2 by 3, because R2 is around 20k and R1 is 10k, so it will be 2 by 3, and the second fraction is 1 by 3. So the first fraction is, let me use a calculator. First fraction is 2 by 3. If I substitute V in as 7.5, let's substitute V in as 7.5, and I substitute V out is at minus 15. So I will do 2 by 3 into 7.5 in minus 1 by 3 into into 7.5. Sorry, into 15 basically, correct? Because it is at minus 15. So I will get close to 0. Yes. So V in is close to 0 whenever V in is approaching 0, whenever V in is close to 7.5. So V in will be 7.5 when V out is at minus 15, and V in will be at minus 7.5 and V out is at plus 15. So that's where the plus and minus 7.5 came from. Okay, now let us go back to the input output waveforms. Yeah. So now this explains that the upper threshold point is plus 7.5 when V in was minus 15, and the lower threshold point is at minus 7.5 when V in is switching from plus 15 to minus 15. So the Smith trigger has basically two states. So the one state is minus 15 and the second state is plus 15. So that's why we can say that now if V in is greater than 7.5, my output changes its state from -15 to +15. You can verify from this state diagram. And whenever Vin is less than -7.5, my output will change the state from +15 to -15. So this is basically like a system is holding, it's like a memory system in a 1-bit memory system, right? So on the similar lines, we have the hysteresis curve. So whenever the minus, let's consider this plus 7.5 case. So plus 7.5 case, Vin is basically if it is less than 7.5, my output will stay at plus. If Vin is less than 7.5, my output will stay definitely at minus. Output will the Vin is less than 7.5, the output will definitely stay at -15, as you can see over here. And whenever Vin is greater than 7.5, output will switch to from -15 to +15. So here it is for 7.5, the curve is going like this. So you can see starting from bottom left, going up, and again going to the right hand side. And immediately for the Vin, if it is greater than 7.5, Vin is greater than 7.5, the output will be remaining at plus VSAT. So over here. And as soon as Vin becomes less than 7.5, it will switch from plus VSAT, that is plus 15 to -15. So this curve goes like this from up, it will go to the left hand side, come down, and again it will go to the left hand side. So that's how the hysteresis curve combines over here. So whenever Vin is less than 7.5 and it is over here greater than -7.5, basically yeah, so or less than -7.5, we can say that in a negative direction, the output will not change the state. So basically it has locked the state of the output. So between 7.5 and -7.5, we say that we have a hysteresis voltage, right? Or we call it as a dead band region. Here the output will not react at all. Only it will react whenever Vin becomes greater than 7.5 and Vin becomes lesser than -7.5. So your comparator with positive feedback will be comparing your two voltage level, that is V plus and V minus. So this is why the hysteresis will, this is how the hysteresis will prevent the false triggering of the output due to noisy input signal. If the noisy input signal is within this range is very, very large, 7.5. Normally the noise signal is not so large, it's not varying such a high amplitude, right? So my false triggering will be completely avoided in case of this mid-trigger circuit. So hence it converts any regular shape waveforms into a square wave or a rectangular pulse. This hysteresis. Okay. So now let us go and check some numbers with LT Spice simulation now. So let me open this. Yeah. So this circuit is remaining the same. This is my same circuit. Let me reduce this to around, let's say 20. Okay. So it's loading a bit. Okay, I have to write here 20. Yeah. So right now the circuit to your left hand side and the circuit to your right hand side are one and the same. As you can see, R2 is 20K, R1 is 10K. Op-amp is selected as OP07 with plus or minus as plus or minus 16.5 basically. Yeah, we have considered 16.5, so we'll consider here also 16.5. So here it is 16.5 volts. Yeah, and input is around 10 volts peak of sine wave and of 100 hertz frequency. So here if we simulate this, immediately we can get input and the output waveforms over here. Yeah, so that these are my input output waveforms. Let me just add a plane plot and push my input on this side so you can see clearly. It's exactly the same way. The circuit to your left hand side and the waveforms to your right hand side. I mean, the waveforms to your left are drawn on OneNote PDF, and the waveforms to your right are the result of the LT Spice simulated. We have simulated the circuit in LT Spice, so the results are quite similar, quite evident over here. Okay. Now, if we check the let me check the hysteresis curve, how it will look like. So you have to right click over here and Since we have labeled it as V in, it will come as V in. So this is my hysteresis curve. As you can see, the tail is moving this side, so it is exactly behaving the same way as we have seen over here. So that's my hysteresis curve for my non-inverting Schmidt trigger. So it's going from this side, from the tail is on the right hand side at the top, and on the bottom we have on the left hand side. So that's how the hysteresis curve for a non-inverting Schmidt trigger will look like. We can calculate the values of plus VSAT. Minus VSAT is minus 15.5 basically. So that's okay. So we can calculate the VUTP and VLTP from here very easily. So I just wanted to show you all that we can get hysteresis curve from this very, very easily. Let me simulate that again and show it to you. So we'll need to right click over here and type V of V in. So that's how you get the hysteresis curve. Okay. No, now the color is also matching. It's orange and orange here also. So that's my V out and versus V in curve. That is a VTC curve for my non-inverting Schmidt trigger. If we can calculate how much is this thing, whether it is 7.5 or no, let's check that. So over here, if I go at around 0, here it is 8.04. That's okay because here saturation voltage we have assumed it to be 15, but it is coming out to be 15.6 something, right? Yeah, it's coming out to be 15.56. So that's understandably fine. And here the V, here instead of minus 7.5, here it is coming. You can check in the lower half, X and Y coordinate. It is coming out to be minus 8. So that's fine. That's perfectly fine because we have miscalculated the value of plus or minus VSAT. So just for numbers, it's behaving very, very good. If you want to really see that plus or minus 15, then we have to make this at, I think, 16. Then it will come proper. Let's check that. Let's concentrate on the plus or minus VSAT now. So here plus VSAT is, yeah, perfect, 15.08. I'm taking the Y coordinate down, X and Y coordinate, and here it is minus 15. So right now it should be close to 7.5. Let's check that. Yeah, it is close to 7.5. It is 7.75 instead of 7.5, and here it is, let's check that value. Here it is minus 7.75. So greatly improved. Results have improved a lot in this. So I think that's it for this very important non-inverting Schmidt trigger analysis using numbers with numbers. So we have seen this circuit and we have completed our analysis for non-inverting Schmidt trigger with numbers. And we have verified all the cases for this circuit with numbers. So next time we'll see in actual derivations how the non-inverting Schmidt trigger circuit is analyzed. So until next time, have a good day and thank you.